Scott. I still think that he is one of the points in order to keep the hopes and dreams for Sim9.
And here we're going to compare the head-to-head between these two players, KF from GLU squad and whoever 456 is. I believe this is a pseudo name from eArena. 5 eliminations for KF, 3 for 456 damage output. Still famous 456 though, even though he has lesser amount of eliminations. But the one with the most eliminations is Lapar. 6 eliminations, only 499 damage, not the highest. We've seen a lot more than this. But the 6 eliminations brings the best value to RRQ.
Absolutely agree with that. I mean, he went into fights where they would guarantee successes, especially up against BT or that safe part of that, and then just slowly look for any form of all these stragglers when they are on a high ground to slowly pick them off. So very efficient work coming out of Lapar. Also kudos to GLU squad to have KF to be able to really hold those big points moving into this matchup in Miramar, while we see the tandem duo of 456 as well as NC Who to be having a shared total of 6 eliminations altogether.
Yeah, so if we look at some of these numbers as well, again, Lapar, if you compare like the damage, not the highest. But again, it's all about the eliminations collected. Here are the points. RRQ 22 points, Sim9 11 points. They also share the same amount of points as the Tribe or Messi and BTR, all 11 points. On the other end, however, too bad for Team Secret, Alter Ego, Champions Esports, and Talent Esports not able to collect a single point this round. So among all these teams that did not collect any points, the worrying one is probably Alter Ego. Since the last we saw them, they were at number 17.
Yeah, despite them actually erupting into the battle up against those teams who are just by corners and Martin, I've just felt like it was just a lack of conversion. I believe there was some damage done by Badru, but that wasn't exactly enough. Well, we take a look at all these match stats. 3 players bound out to the play zone, therefore only 61 total eliminations. Rake this time secures a decent number on the longest elimination distance, but then again, I would say this is one of the more exciting rounds of Miramar that we've been able to witness so far. HORAA Esports unmoved over the top, but the biggest movers right now, RRQ, is climbing up and up into the top 4, surpassing Vampire Esports by 1 point, joining the triple-digit club.
Yeah, so now we have 5 teams with 100 points at least. Coming soon, it could be 4 Thrives, even DRS, and Vikings, since the points are not that far. Even Vikings is like 18 points away in the remaining games. Surely they can break that number later on. So these are the page 1 teams that are pretty comfortable in the top 16 for now. On page number 2, this is where we'll see the number 16 team and around that corner. And the points are that far for Talent, FaZe Clan, and Boom Esports. So I wonder what the benchmark will be at number 17 now.
Yeah, I don't really know where to actually draw a line right now because we're seeing a tie between Team Secret, BTR, and also at the same time, 1 point above them is EST as well as eArena respectively, where they're all climbing 4 positions all together. So they're kind of leaving some of these guys coming from the other groups that's not playing to be biting some dust right now. Sim9 is also moving up hot as they're about to join in the 60-pointer club. So that's definitely big news for the Malaysian side, with even GLU doing the same.
Yeah, the rise of teams from page number 3. This time it's Sim9, but they need more points to be in the top 16. And before we go on to a break, so, oh yeah, this is the FMVP jersey of the man himself.
Wow.
And it still smells like Satar. Anyway, we'll be heading on to a break, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll see you after this one.
No. Wow. The games just get better and better from every step of the way, and we're moving into our third match of the evening. So, Sir Cloud, I mean, there's just so much to talk about for today. We've seen DRS with that clutch 1v1, and now RRQ, the King of Kings, are back dominating in Miramar.
Oh yeah, so a chicken dinner apiece for those teams in case you just join us. Oof. And teams on page number 3, they have been starting to rise up as well. We did see a good run by Sem9. We did see a good run from GLU Squad 2. So now the race for the top 16 is going to be tight. The points are close. The swaps will happen.
Definitely. And now moving back into Erangel, I guess this is definitely going to be a little bit of a shift of pace once again, but look at how teams are playing so far. It really feels like they got no holds barred. Well, didn't mean to make it rhyme, but this is how it actually rolls off. With now B and C to be featured in this matchup while Group A takes a break.
Yeah, so we're going to focus B and C. And obviously, we're going to make our predictions next. Maybe somebody from page 3, perhaps? Since they're on the rise now, what's it feeling like?
I'm thinking the same as well. I mean, it's definitely a very tough call at the moment where I still want to be proven by some of all these names out there, like the Savior, which I think they should be least pressure to be making advancements because all the other teams are already pushing up and up. So I'm just sending my energy to them. So DX for this time.
Production. You picked that too early, but we have no rules in the prediction desk, right? So I'm going to stay true. Right? And I know one of our producers, Astro, is a big fan. So let's bring on DRS.
You even have the DRS jersey? Now, did they ship this from Nepal for you? Or did you just...
Shout out to the manager, Sang, for arranging this for me in a very special edition as well.
Oh man, Sangin, we're buddies, right? I mean, where's mine? I'm jealous right now. So yeah.
Well, you didn't vote DRS, so too bad.
Okay, maybe if I vote for them next game, then I'll be able to get my jersey as well. So beautiful stuff. Did you stole it from them while they were in Kuala Lumpur the last time round, or how does it go?
I would steal Killer Whitey's jersey now. If he ever goes to the bathroom and for whatever reason he takes off his shirt, it's gone.
You don't want to leave that man naked on the stage, don't you? So you better at least swap something for him to wear if that's the case. So great support coming in from our dear casters. And of course, at the very same time, you guys can also support your favorite team, whether it's HORAA Esports, DRS, or whoever else out there. Check out their websites. You might be able to purchase some of their merchandise, just like Sir Cloud. I mean, I don't know how Sir Cloud got it. I'm pretty sure he didn't really have to spend the time, but let's not talk about that.
Well, I do need to spend on some, so disclaimer, right? Yeah, disclaimer. I might not have them around me. I can't pile up all the shirts around me, you know. This will be a big wardrobe here. But anyway, thank you so much for all the amazing stuff here, given by multiple people across. But also, amazing gameplays are coming up soon. So after this, we're coming back onto Erangel. I wonder if you're going to see an early fight again.
I definitely think that there's always going to be those early fights, but it's more of like who's going to be fighting up against who is going to be the big question that's definitely remaining in our head right now. That eArena versus GLU thing might still happen. We don't know. Or have they actually settled the scores just yet? Because this is definitely the kind of group for them to do so, if I'm not mistaken, that they're kind of both on board. So, of course, that being said, when we take a look at the rest of the pack that has been able to really show up good results back in the very first game, of course, DRS got that chicken dinner, right? But following very closely, you saw Falling Donkey was part of the equation. And I think today, AST has been on a very consistent run, if you think about it.
Oh yeah, true enough, true enough. And they're doing so far so good in the top 16. Of course, any team wouldn't mind more points and also more glory, more highlight moments for themselves. Erangel, next match. Now, what you mentioned earlier on is going to be pretty interesting for us to observe, right? Whether we will see eArena and GLU squad duking out for that garage with that one vehicle, 4 players go in. If it's a knife or not, we'll see if that happens. Let's go, Erangel.
And it just gets even more exciting as we progress throughout the matchups here. This is match 21 in the playoff stages. Day 4 here in Ruthless Invitational Showdown. This time, the flight path is definitely on an interesting skewer because it starts off from Georgia Pole, a very highly populous area, to be moving directly into the islands of Sinoska. So, as much as we've talked about only having REINCE Esports to be interested in the island, I felt that whenever REINCE is not in this kind of matchup, other teams can also consider taking like areas like Novo or Noi. I feel like Novo's kind of losing a lot of love. Where back in the days, Team Secret liked to drop there. Now, even Team Secret likes to move elsewhere. So, definitely, it's been pretty interesting. And this kind of fight path, we might still see that garage warfare. So, keep your eyes peeled out for that.
But if no team's going to give them any love, I do hope that the Circle gives Novo a bit of love. I'm just saying. So, I'm looking at the northern side being a bit crowded as well. Got RRQ there, Vampire, and other overlapping teams that I can't see clearly yet. I guess it's Claw there as well. But we're going to get Trapper Messi on screen now with an early fight with another team. Oh, but mentioning about, well, not really Novo, but mid to the base, there's still a chance that the Circle will go there.
Yeah, very high chance, and that's good news for Refuse and Co. from the side of REINCE Esports. Great shot coming out of the members of AST in order to come up pretty huge in this trade-off, scoring the first point, moving into this matchup where MVKE is stuck within the same compound.
Sitting at the corner, now everyone's playing the Patience game. But we do have a nade being cooked up by Vikings on the other room. And Zio will be waiting on the second floor in case anyone tries to rush up. But both sides still playing this kind of chill for now. Nobody wants to go out early. If not, it will be a rather long wait till the next round. So everyone's playing this carefully still. Looks like a bit of a standoff for now.
Yeah, I would say that the stakes are higher for the rest of MVKE because they're on the third page. AST so far have been super consistent. And that consistency definitely shows with them carefully, surgically removing one of their player already. Now, I think what's really tough for the side of MVK is that I don't really see too much weaponry that they're holding other than Tins having pretty much an assault rifle in hand. So it's got to really put that to good use. We're also hearing some pot shots coming in from the side of hospital grounds. So both sides can't afford to stay for far too long.
Oh, but Vikings actually lost one player. I guess that happened while we were still at the flight map. So it happened really, really early. First blood secured by Trapper Messi. Now both sides, if we were to look at their utilities and their ammo, not that much yet. Since it's still very early, they probably didn't have time to truly loot up. But they also need to take note that they're about 1,500 meters away from the circle. So this fight cannot take too long.
True enough. Focusing on to break, ex-team member of Team Secret. On his run with Team Secret, I dare say that he's definitely have done an impeccable job. So this transfer to me definitely looks very interesting for the side of MVKE. Zio's losing a little bit of that patience. He's holding on to just a pistol. Of course, he does have an AR in his hand, alongside with the S686. Sometimes all these shotgun names really goes through my head. I mean, just a whole bunch of numbers out there. Well, to be identifying it easily, some are called double barrel. One is just a single pump. And of course, you got the double barrel shotgun DPS. That's it. Trix now wants to also join in the party as he's trying to traverse right across, while Doda also receiving some of all these blows from the side of Fury while he runs through it. Kind of met his own maker right there, right between his eyes, as the rest of the members of Claw have been able to fight back. Doda crashes out very early.
Wait, you blink it, you miss it moment. Semna actually won against Torak, and Torak out. So leaving them at number 16 now by the edge. Okay. But they're number 16 here, but they are still, last we checked, on third place. So they need to make a big comeback in the following round. Anyway, coming back onto Vikings versus Trapero Messi. Now they're rushing into this room, turning to the right side. One of them punished by Rick with the DBS gameplay. And now Trix is taking that proactive approach by being stunned out. Rick now, his own DBS, trying to fight out against the other members of Trapero Messi. But at the end of the day, it is Trapero Messi standing tall against the Vikings.
Yeah, that was a really clean ordeal. Took them a while, but nonetheless, it's 4 straight points. No members falling right through, while the rest of Vampire Esports have been able to hear all the shots coming in, hoping to wrap around the rest of these members of AST. But despite them knowing for a fact that, you know, the traits have already been dealt, and AST didn't really have to go for heavy reset other than Zio being damaged overall. So I can still say that AST, they're pretty much ready for the next one.
Empire Esports, that is. But for the rest of the other teams, they're like, okay, we ain't got no time for fights. Let's just focus on to getting closer to the circle, since this could be a tricky one. It could go to the main peninsula or maybe even the main to the base. So that's why we can see like some of these teams playing by the bay, like for Sem9 and also D Xavier. So if the circle shifts anywhere, at least they will have easy access. Even for DRS, if the circle goes to the main to the base, they can still take a boat to access it. So that's a good spot in Primos that they have locked in. While in South George, still, Trapero Messi here, now they have Vampire Esports as a visitor. Claw, also kind of interested in South Jogo Pool. I guess they want to get those exit frags.
Yeah, I think that a lot of these teams are making firm decision, right? Because of how trashy that circle is. There's only like, what, 40% of land for you to play back in stage 1, all the way down south. So if you're not really keen onto battling for those kind of positions, you might as well secure those points, which is why they're pretty locked in. Speaking of which, Boboho, great sharpshooting with that Scar L in order to remove one player out of AST. More to be done, but AST can't really sit too comfortably despite them actually securing those 4 points up against Vikings Esports. So Zio, now that he gets to heal up, he still have to keep himself pretty much well stocked up because he's only got like what, 2 first aid. They're pretty far away from the zone, and if you get to see from the mini map, that's like 1 kilometer away at the very least for everybody to actually get into the zone.
Yeah, and they're not really letting go of each other. Doesn't help that on the outside is Claw waiting. So I wonder how this gridlock will stop. But on the minimap, it seems like Claw, they moved away. They probably thought to themselves that it's not worth it to wait. So it's now between Trapper Messi and Vampire Esports. Like, what they're going to decide to do. Okay, now we get a better view. So Claw is still somewhat on the outside of South George, that is. But what's more important is going to be the circle. Are we still going to get a 50-50? Oh, man! We're going to get a similar circle like the one we saw on day 2.
Wow, this time it just further confirms it for the side of REINCE Esports, right? Top already in the best position possible. The only other challenger is Voink Donkey that's going on that 2-2 split that has been arriving over onto the south side of the port. So we'll have to see if they will actually tussle for a little bit more of that control. Because right now, there's barely any room. The new shift forces everybody to get into the island. Talent Esports at least has this hovercraft. I believe they've already arrived on the corner of Novernoi. So this isn't too much of a concern for the rest of Talent, because for the rest of the other teams, okay. I mean, XZ, if he's going to drive like that, I'm going to be concerned for them. But overall, HORAA Esports, they're the next one to also join in the party. A little late, but is this going to be a big setup? Because Yummy's camping on the bridge.
Hoping for a team to pass by, but based on our view, no other team so far. So still waiting it out. But Tony K is not waiting though, it took us 0. So the fight continues on in South Jogopu. Tony K will finish him off. And the rest of Vampire Esports still trying to locate the other members of Tribe or Messi here.
Yeah, Vampire Esports so committed in this one. I'm not really too sure if it's ever going to be worth it now that you're really spending so much resource at the very same time. So I don't really see too much of a clear victory despite them, you know, burning a lot of time. Only 1 point so far. Fearon does actually catch over onto Peko as the rest of 7-9. They want to hustle them through because some portion of the Fair Pier is still covered in the zone.
Here comes the nade across. By D-Xavier. D-Xavier defending the ground against ASI8. Casanova will be knocked down. Harajim wants to finish him off with the nade. The rest of ASI8, they are on the other side. I wonder if they really want to come in or they're going to find it not going to be valuable for them, as they would rather focus on to getting into the circle instead. But anyway, for D-Xavier, it's not only ASI they need to worry of. They need to worry of Sem9, who's currently still their neighbor.
Yeah, at least like they are trying to clear off their direct threat at the very least for them to be able to hold out inside Fair Pier. Sem9, they're going to be ever ready to pounce once they do see those names lighting up on the screen coming from the side of ORQ, but they're not going to allow that to happen at all. And at the same time, Sem9 has already lost 2 members throughout those kind of exchanges. And boy, oh boy. Are there going to be enough votes for them to actually cut by if they're not going to use the bridge? It really seems like it is going to be entirely for the rest of REINCE Esports to take over control while we continue on the fight. It's going to be Red Phase that takes all apart. The Indonesians go at each other.
Well, here comes RRQ. They're going to bulldoze their way through, but Sem9 is also around the corner still. And RRQ arriving in front of Claw. Bobo, who is pretty low. The Peko will charge in. Picking up his nade, trying to gather as much information as possible before lobbing it across. And they managed to land a bit of damage onto Red Face though. Red Face with his own nade as well. Sends it onto Nepeko's side, but Nepeko moved away. He's fine for now.
Yeah, it's just an all-out brawl coming in from the side of Claw Slayers, so where they're pretty much segregated by the Pure itself. Whoever gets to win this one gets to claim that hovercraft, or I mean, that's actually a glider that's pretty much on top of that runway. That nade looking to be very close, and it hits directly to the face of Red Face.
And the Peko circles around. Probably wants to secure that elimination point against Red Face, but not making that approach yet as he waits for his other teammates to get into position. But D-Xavier and Sem9 fighting it off for their space to get into the circle. Something that we kind of expected though. Oh, Lamborghini is managing Vampire Esports as well. Okay, here comes Vampire Esports. They're somewhere around this area.
Yeah, and really being stopped by the tracks while Boom Esports is also pinning down members on the side of BTR. Wonder where that is actually happening because Crazy is already being taken off that list while Bird but the body has been on while Peko has arrived to see catching on to 2 members of Claw Slayers. For that long range raid and the rest of Claw tries to drive their way past this area while Birdia is out to actually hold out. It's only him left for the side of RQ where he has to play it safe. If they have kept count, Claw Slayers might just be full sending it, but take a look at the back. They're also receiving heavy casualties, so they have to really keep them up really quickly because there's only 40 seconds before stage 3 closes.
Oh man, time is not on their side though. Look at the blue, it's arriving soon. And we're talking about stage 3 moving to stage 4. Vampire Esports, they're not out of it yet with Newsy still here. With Face receiving damage from the blue. They still have some space to move forward though at the dock, but that's going to be their last space on the main peninsula. Everything else is going to surely end at the mid to the base. Newsy They're trying to figure out how he's going to deal with Xavier. Gets into his buggy. Maybe he'll just ignore Xavier and focus on the crossing the bridge now.
Yeah, this circle is just so crazy. When we take a look at that leaderboard over on the right-hand side of the screen, more than half of the teams are actually battling over onto the blue zone. Nuzi now committing as well up against the rest of Sem9. When I say rest of Sem9, there's only 2 players. Medkit now being popped from the side of UHI Boy, while we are seeing all these players struggling to actually get by. Venom still by the edge, though. He's trying to hold out against 2 members of the Savior, while REINCE Esports having Zio overlooking over onto the top end of the hill, playing the Kingmaker at the moment.
ASI-8 safely arrived on the way to the base. The moment they arrive, they have REINCE Esports, aka APG, also passing by. But they are very familiar with mid to the base. They should be able to position themselves well. Coming back onto the aerial ferry pier, Vampire Esports now facing stage number 4 off the blue. Nuzi has 3 first aids left, make that 2. Yuhai in front of him. Hopefully he has enough time to at least win this fight. Or maybe Yuhai will outlast him by healing. And Yuhai is out of first aids as well.
Yeah, he's got to really force some maneuvers right now. He's got 4 frag grenades. He will be putting it to good use before he actually drops out. So ASI-8, next one on the chopping block. It will falter on number 14. While FaZe Clan has been able to once again go for the pin up against the rest of BTR. Uzi's taking a while, getting himself healed up. He knows that it's a battle of attrition, and there goes UHI and the rest of Sem9.
And on the other side, team starting to come into mid to the base. As for Claw, okay, they're not out of it yet. Now they have RRQ. Wait, RRQ? Here too? Wow. All right. Interesting to see how many teams have not made it into mid to the base, but Red Face made it happen. Now they should have an entry into mid to the base itself.
Yeah, the last we saw, they were pretty much locked up against each other, and they definitely identified that Burden was all alone after that long trading with even the Savior members to try to hold out majority of BTR. BTR that with 1, while the rest of them are just crashing right through. Down to Gante. Can he actually hustle them out of this control room? Well, he is definitely handling it perfectly. Gante wipes them all off the floor.
And DRS secures their position. But next to them is now Federalist. Federalist alone, though, the final player for BTR. Unless he can lob a beautiful grenade into DRS, then perhaps he can come up with something big. But Claw, no boat means they have to swim across. And if you swim across, this might happen. Top will play the fishing game, and he'll be happily on this hill, just tapping away onto whatever targets they can see moving.
That's right, and they're already doing a lot of massive damage over onto the members of Claw Esports, despite up till now, REINCE have yet to actually score those points just yet. Zio, however, does actually secure the first one as he will go ahead for the takedown. The problem with this is that once they deep dive, they need to come back up for air very quickly, or else they will just lose a lot of health bars. If you look at the update though, DRS from position, they are taking a lot more of the ground control. APG now finds themselves over on the edge. Well, sorry, excuse me, that's REINCE Esports.
Well, REINCE Esports, APG, starting to converge now. Anyway, still playing the fishing game. Top knows that somebody is still in the water somehow, but now he has to shift his attention to the Xavier with Paragin passing by, parking himself just below Top. Oh, but Top has to be careful. Who's shooting him from the side? Who is it?
Ooh.
Oh, it's Delta.
Wow. Perfect angles coming in from DRS. Now that kind of forces even the likes of REINCE to be hugging by the corners of the shore. So Chama and the rest of DRS, they are in such a firm position. If it does shift towards the south, I might even see them winning again.
Well, who knows, right? Right now they have secured themselves a decent position. Seems to be on the clear from other teams. But the Xavier only left with Paragin, and with the fact that REINCE Esports, they know that he's here. If the circle doesn't favor him, he will have a hard time moving away.
Fair enough. Well, we've been staring over on to Paragon for quite a while now. The rest of REINCE Esports, they're not going to be letting him slide off as freely as he wants to. I think that APG, REINCE Esports, definitely know that he's kind of stuck down there. They don't really have to pay too much of attention until he once again redirects those shots. But on the other corner, I really do wonder what's going on, especially on the bridge if any team were to actually make their way across.
Okay, let's see where this nade will land. Oh, that's a bit too far. I don't think Top knows that Paragon is just below him. He knows that Paragon is somewhere there, but doesn't know that it's just right below. So that's why he lobbed his nade like across. Well, he'll probably find that out sooner or later. But with the fact that he knows that Paragon is still there, he will always be alert of somebody at his back. While that's happening, we shift over to DRS, dealing with Talon from afar. It's the Gigante, trying to get more members of Talon. One of their players currently knocked. But because of this tree and because of the compound, it's really not helping DRS getting a good clear view. But Killer YT gets one.
Oh, there we go. Opening up the account while the rest of Talon tries to really hold through the accounts. Starting to look a little bit more like a fortress as we are already looking at a member to be able to just save up done very, very swiftly. Wow! XZZ has received the whole brunt of the damage coming from the clip from Kill YT.
FaZe Clan. Time for them to get into action as they approach the circle. Coming from the side. Now Talon. They not only have DRS looking at them, they also have FaZe Clan looking at them. Oh man. Okay, let's check out the next phase of the circle now. Who will be favored by most likely Point Donkey? They surely will get it since they're in the middle of the circle, but shifts slightly towards the left side with DRS is also in it, together with REINCE Esports. And as expected, Paragon does not circle. Time for him to come out with Shell.
And so far, he's definitely thinking about those angles. Paragon has got to really have a timely pop. And that actually clips onto both Zio as well as Top. So great work coming from Paragon. Where exactly is going to be the rest of these other parties, because they have yet to move into this direct area of location. Just giving just about enough room for respect for REINCE Esports while DRS goes for that domination. 5 points already being secured. Now we move into our top 5 run. Canary arrives to the scene, quickly takes out YBF, and even spots out Axel through the grass.
And who else can FaZe Clan find? But Killer YT finds Dewey. Axel somehow still in the game. He does have the circle. What he does have the circle right now is just to FaZe Clan. DRS gatekeeping them from coming in. Shooting from afar. Try to stop them at their tracks. On the other side, Void Donkey, we can see a movement by them. They're heading towards FaZe Clan as well. FaZe Clan rushing in onto Axel. And they will finish off Axel in a 2v1 fight.
Yep, now down to all these 4 members out there. REINCE Esports slowly being battered and bruised by members of DRS. I think that was to be Chama to be able to pin one member down. Now the rest of FaZe Clan, they are drawing it close up against DRS. The nade, though, actually lands onto the members of FaZe Clan while they are trying to create a little bit more of this widespread in order to not all fall to the grenades.
Killer YT gets Canary. And Red Bull taken out by Zeta. It looks like FaZe Clan, they're not having a good time. 2 teams focusing onto them. Canary is still down on his knees, but Joey and Shopper will be the duo that needs to save him or win the fight around them. Zeta knocked out by Killer YT.
Bring out Killer YT yet again, and he's definitely looking for a whole lot more now, going up against the rest of the members of FaZe Clan. Only residing inside the smoke bridges that they've actually created thus far, while the rest of DRS is hoping to do exactly the same as it draws to a close. 1 minute or less. That's where all these teams will be super clumped up, and we're getting closer and closer to finding out who the winner is. While Chama gets another catch, and that's 1 member down from South AST.
Okay, the fight still continues on with Canary knocked out by Potato. The IGL of Point Donkey. While REINCE still staying clear of this fight for now, but Zul is on his knees while Chama is looking at top. So when Pop wants to save Zero, he has to come down from that top of the hill, so it's going to be a bit difficult with a crosshair pointing at him. The fight continues on here, the three-way fights. FaZe Clan positioning themselves, going towards the area where Canary is at, and they're going in for the save. Can they save him? Oh no, they can't. They can't. Just too many crosshairs around. Chopper gets Potato back.
Yeah, that was just really nasty shots coming out of the members of FaZe Clan. Finally, they did manage to bring one member down. So it's down to Chopper QQ. As he does notice that the entirety of DRS is just right above. So did they actually pick the right maneuvers early on? Well, one could definitely argue. While YT now relying on those smokes, preparing up Yanti at the very same time. Great damage to be done, and this could very well be another DRS round now that they still have all 4 members still alive.
This game is now going to be even tighter with the circle closed down. FaZe Clan eliminated number 4, 5 eliminations thanks to DRS. DRS looking for the next target now. They're going to put focus onto Point Donkey. Knocking down one player is going to be Gante. One more still active. It's Potato, the IGL team. Astro as well. And if you notice, Astro's DP.
Now it becomes an awkward 2 versus 2. While there
Kickoffs happening, a very aggressive start for most of these teams. Their talent has been able to pin down one member of that of HORAA Esports. DP now, YGF down, while Axel further commits, and that will eliminate not only Supreme but also Hike Dami at the same time.
Yeah, Talon, here's Yasnaya with HORAA Esports. Both of these teams and their regular dog squad. So they're now fighting for dominance in this area. But the main guy Sleepy knocked out, and next ZZ. Ayuk sends a naked across as well. As Ayuk as well as Axel defending Talon Esports, and from the side, Axel spots out Sleepy, puts him down to sleep.
Perfect maneuver coming in from the side of Axel. Now all down to Sky, the MVP of HORAA Esports so far, to be able to clutch it all out. Big damage being done. I'm not too sure if he could actually handle the pressure any longer because they're currently having 3 members hunting him out. On to the back of the restaurant. We got a goal. And even despite so, I think that won't actually see him coming up with a knock, but that's all that he gets so far. HORAA Esports with only 1 point in the back.
But I guess like what you said, right? HORAA Esports, they can't afford to chill, so even if they go up with only 1 point this round, that's fine. They're still in the top 16. They're very comfortable there, so that's okay. Definitely will see them in the grand finals. But we're back on the Team Secret here. The fight's not over yet. And here comes that nade. Oh, wow. He got Pauja. Okay, 1 more to go. So 2v1 against Urkas. Urkas alone with a jump shot. But Urkas running to find a different corner now, forcing Team Secret to this alley. DK shows up. Oh, Urkas with the damage onto it. All they need to do is just spray onto Urkas. And that is Team Secret winning against Champions Esports.
That's 3 points for Jiki and Typhoon to be able to supplement on the engagement. Here it goes. Elder Eagle for 4Q crashing right through the gate. And BX666 makes a swift work, but there is still some pressure coming from the top side of the hill. And that is Toda getting involved. Is Toda going to be able to fully commit? I mean, we haven't seen them going on the aggression. I kind of want to see this happen up against Alter Ego.
Oh, you might see it though. But looks like, okay, Toda will not be engaging with anyone. Oh, but maybe Alter Ego is still coming in. Okay, here we go. As Alter Ego passing by, and Peko gets Badru. Badru will be finished off immediately by Scam. Toda secured that 1 elimination point. Looking for more out of Alter Ego. As Alter Ego to try to drive away, but unfortunately not able to. BX666 will be knocked down. Hung up the drive. Peko will lock in the point.
That was so smooth coming in from Peko. We last saw him actually swerving towards the side, dodging both of the buggies at the same time, and then recommit, get that re-ping, and that's how they actually shut down majority of these members of Alpha. Now looking for Alva having some of all these long-range tags on that 3x Scar L. A lot of all these teams were actually circling around the Rozhok region once again, seemingly to be one of the most popular spots, but oh boy, we might even see the circle now popping further into the shooting range as well, as we have not seen that in a long while.
And it's a split kind of circle, so there's still those small islands in this circle that could potentially be the final circle that teams need to anticipate. But since, as of now, majority of the circle is towards the shooting range area, well, we can expect more teams to put focus onto that area. As you can see, Torak is making their way there as well. Last we checked, 7-9 managed to get across too. Now RRQ's turn to pass this bridge. In front of them is still going to be Torak. And they saw Torak, they take the left turn instead.
Yeah, very carefully done right through, as they've definitely heard some of the brought upon some of the members of Alter as well. Echo recommits now, committing onto the rest of the members who's on wheels. Oh, look at how sharp the Pecto is. Wow, even with the 180 jump. So I don't think that the rest of Todak is interested to fully engage once more.
And they will lose Brian, very likely. I don't see any other members of Toda coming in to save him. And RRQ, at least they will surely secure this one extra point. The vehicle just making sure that nobody is behind that vehicle still. And there goes the point to the hands of RRQ, taken by Napeko. The other members of Toda, they're on the other side. RRQ, they know that they're there. It's a matter of whether they want to engage onto them or not.
True enough. Scam. I think that he might as well just commit. I mean, playing all alone, how much more time can you actually buy, especially when your team has already scored 2? I mean, if you could just score even more, then that's pretty much a worthwhile run for some of these guys out there. I mean, I'm not exactly in their shoes, so they could opt to play passively if they want to, but the fact of reality is that Scam doesn't really have that much space to work with. Eventually, if you allow a little bit more of that wiggle room, their enemies will still go in for a chase. So, you gotta pick your poison. Gotta take the right flights for when to really call it a foe. While the rest of RQ are now securing themselves a shack right across the bridges, where 7-9 is just hoping to pass by. They're not stopping for anything at all.
7-9's looking at RRQ. I wonder, okay, oh, here's Trexie. Making that scouting approach on that high ground. They seem to be interested to try to take the RRQ. Okay, but they're making sure that they're able to gather enough information before executing their plan. Wow, we check out the circle. Will it pull down to Rozhok area? And looks like it might go all the way to Rozhok, with now Rozhok at the center of the circle.
So many of all these teams are being tricked towards crossing over on north, and now they have to move all the way back. BTR, if they want to claim school, is absolutely vacant at the moment. Rozhok, I guess there still could be HORAA Esports to be feeling very confident about playing in that area as always. Well, what am I exactly saying? Because HORAA Esports is actually not inside of this match. Well, as we do focus onto the rest of the teams, it's going to be 4 tribes that claims Rozhok instead. So, good notion, but definitely this is a very big township for them to hold true. They spot out the rest of 7-9 moving into the city.
And in Rozhok, it's starting to get crowded now. 4 Thrives here, 7-9 here, maybe more teams to come by soon. Let's see if Luck is able to land that nade. But 7-9, they are pretty secure on the other side with their own building, so that's fine. On the minimap, we welcome now RRQ from the shooting range area. Now they shift their way down and expect more teams to come, including CelcomDigi Alliance, who arrives at the end.
Yeah, so many teams now popping right into the urban setting. Is this going to be a full urban warfare that we are getting here? Well, my favorite township in the map, Berndia. So get a little bit of that pressure coming from the side of BTR. what will be the outcome of this three-way battle, though. Echo now getting a little bit more defensive cover while Team Secret only left with 2, already securing 4 points so far. A very strong run coming in from the Vietnamese Aces, while these couple of teams pretty much in a gridlock position. Nobody can afford to even go in for a peak right now.
Yeah, everyone's like, okay, we have our own corner, people. Let's be proper citizens of Rozhok. If anyone else comes in, then that's fine. We deal with them. If not, okay, you have your place. I have my place. We all have our own place. Let's just keep ourselves safe and let's meet at the final circle.
That probably would be the case if they want to just call it all the way through, but more likely than not, they will shoot at anything that moves still. So, judging from the altercation, you low, aka you high, not to be confused right here, is just going to be keeping his eyes all across the field. So, I don't think that other than those pickoffs, there's actually not much to be done here in essence. Zone does close up in a couple more seconds from now. What if it shifts away from Rozhok? Then we're going to see a big brawl of them exiting the city.
Ooh, that would be fun as well. But of course, not so fun for the teams inside of it. But looks like the answer is not yet. Circle is still around Rozhok. Yeah, there's still a chance maybe later the circle will move away, but we'll keep that on for stage number 5. Right now, it's going to be Vampire Esports against Trapper Messi. They managed to secure their elimination point against Venom. By the edge of this circle, this will give them a clearance to be there. While inside Rozhok, look at the amount of teams here. Let's say hello to Talon.
Talon Esports now joining into the fray. Dodging that grenade, and he is looking to seek out, but he couldn't really clear that tight corner, unfortunately. Still buying a little bit more time, and he's attracting a lot of attention. The rest of Talon has to fall through. Oh, Typhoon just swings out and finds him instead.
Well, Team Secret is busy with Talon as well still, and Typhoon eliminated. Talon secures that compound.
Right now, they do have a little bit more of that priority by taking this compound, because it is going to be one part of a very focal point where it does stop anyone from actually cutting right across the street, so long as they are there. So now we will definitely tend to see a little bit more of a slowdown, while Vampire Esports so far playing a very clean game over onto the side of the field, while the rest of 4 tribes, they spot those movements but unable to really pick some of these members off from the likes of Semba.
Now, how many teams do we have inside Rozhok? We have at least 4 teams in Rozhok. So it will still be fun if the circle does go out into the open area away from Rozhok. We'll find it out in about a minute, 30 more seconds. As of now, the residents of Rozhok will be happy to have their own compound. For those on the outside, well, I guess it's a 50-50. They want to force themselves into Rozhok. But for CelcomDigi Alliance, if they can secure the hillside south of Rozhok, they'll be perfect for them.
Definitely would be. It's just a little bit of a standstill. I think there's actually a little bit more action coming in from the southern fields instead, because that's where a lot of all these noise are actually coming from at the moment. Just look at the current scenario. The rest of CelcomDigi Alliance have been able to move past some of the members of Vampire Esports, but not really leaving them out with so much space, as they are hoping to deny their own entry point at the same time. So 20K, let's see what this kid is made of, as he is currently being fathered by CD Alliance.
Here's Vampire Esports. They not only want to get these points, but they probably are thinking to themselves that, hey, it would be nice if we can get that hill up just below Rozhok. So they're looking for that opportunity. But Tony K needs to get information and also extra support, because he's still alone here. His teammates are still behind. He's looking at CelcomDigi Alliance. I'm pretty sure that they know that he's there, but because he's playing by this hillside as well, so they don't have a good line of sight of Tony K. But here comes Tony K with the spray onto Adeluk. Adeluk did not receive a single damage yet. Jimmy OP is now going to be the focus of Tony K while he's being shot back yet.
Showdown now pulling off a massive defense. Scam just trying his best to stay alive while the rest of CelcomDigi Alliance pinched by the blue zone, but of course, backs against the wall, you still have to defend up against some of the finalists coming in from Thailand. Miela getting pretty much peeked upon. Iftar, when exactly is he going to be able to, of course, form up against the rest of them? It really felt like they want to prioritize the zone first and foremost before they recommit, because at any given moment, Vampire Esports, if left unchecked, they can just deter the entry point of CD Alliance.
And here comes the fight continuing between Vampire Esports and CelcomDigi Alliance. With double knockdown, a bit of a trade back here by Oleo, knocking down Nuzi. Oleo tries to get Tony K. Tony K pretty low. And Oleo cooking up this nade. Should be able to get Tony K. Landing right, but Mela comes in from the side, stopping Oleo from tossing that nade. But Mela is pressured by the blue, so he has to move forward at the same time. Tony K, as much as he wanted to heal up, the nade by Jimmy OP will knock him down.
Now only down to Schweppes. Tony K already eliminated on the ground. GLUBLUG feeling very confident, but instead, oh, it was Schweppes all along. He does bring down Kasim at the very same time, but the points are still in way by tens of MVKE from the back.
The fight still continues on. This fight is taking a long time. Schweppes now very low in an awkward position. Naded down by Iftar. But we have Mela still. So it's Mela against the world. Let's see if Mela can actually pull this one against CelcomDigi Alliance. Both players from CelcomDigi Alliance quite spread out in front of Mela. Oleo from the side will secure the elimination point on the Schweppes. And he will take out Mela at the same time. CelcomDigi Alliance wins this one against Vampire Esports.
What a strong performance out of CelcomDigi Alliance. Where exactly do they place right now after scoring so many massive points? For Thrives now locking out the entirety of Blue Star from entering the city. An absolute dark point, while Pins be able to get some glimpse out of Blue. Only a few of the members thus far. Not too sure about the rest, while the members of GLU, they're pretty much pinched at the back with a nade being tossed right in from T24 that actually secures it. And from the back, Oleo actually stole away the points against for Thrives.
And for Thrives, what a piece of Rozor, with the circle now looking to be entirely in Rozor later on. With a slight chance of maybe moving out, but I'm sure the teams will think of that later. Might as well focus on the Rozor, try to get a good compound while they still have the chance. And BTR has arrived as well at the edge of Rozor. We're going to see the next circle. Okay. This will tell if it goes out. If it's going to be a scammy-ish circle. Oh! Wow. Super duper scammy. Who would have thought? You would have think that, okay, maybe the circle goes towards the left, but no. It still goes up north with a little bit of river in it.
It's just crazy, I tell you. And because of the positioning of Alter Ego, suddenly they're back in the driver's seat. They don't really have that many members, but if they can just hold out for the longest time, you will expect Alter Ego to be able to score a whole lot of points. Now, Talent Esports has got an awkward job to do. You need to let some of these teams pass you, and there are still teams coming in from the south side that they have to take care of. So what do they realistically do? Well, I guess there's a little bit of answer as to what BTR wants. They want the head of Firen.
Well, they want Firen, but they also have to deal with Mika and Yuhai on the other side. Both of them spread out in different areas of Rozok, or at this compound at least, while Alvar is looking over at this compound area. But Vikings in a fight against 4 Thrives. Firen knocked down by Federalis. Now they need to focus on the Mika and Yuhai.
Yuhai just going on pro. Didn't manage to leap in for that split second, and Gatti comes in, goes in for a very quick trade. Federalis actually got pretty much a good setup thanks to them getting baited out by their own teammates. So Federalis now gets that grenade elimination while they are slowly withering down the members of BTR.
And from the side, Alpha is also looking down, so who knows He might take a pot shot there. Oh, and welcome CelcomDigi Alliance to Rozog coming from the left side into the city, where Thrives is closest to them, but they're just passing. But I think they're making that rotation to the river side, so that makes sense since the circle is towards that north side. But that's bad news for Scam, being the final player of Dota all alone in the warehouse, while Talon eliminated by Noki, and that is it for them at number 8.
Yeah, it definitely is a little scary when you're having only a solo in your team. But of course, if he was given the free reign of freedom, I want to see how does he actually perform on a natural habitat. While the rest of Thrives, they take the yellow compound while they manage to also find that pin. Wow, that was on top of Can while Pekko has to bail out of the situation. So they got to slowly navigate their way around. While it's going to be Boxing getting the 5th kill, and here comes Naki. Sprays after sprays, and that will pretty much knock out the rest of Thrives.
And put them in a position of domination with 5 elimination points at least for Thrives. And Thrives right now dealing with BTR. They found Razy by the side. Taking out Razy. BTR still within the circle, so they have some time to buy for them to reset themselves. While we look at the next phase of the circle, it could potentially go up north again where the river is at. And the circle, it goes there where CelcomDigi Alliance is in the middle of it.
Still one portion of the river to actually negate some room for them to actually play over on the ground. CD Alliance, though, they're on the outskirts with Doda having the control over on the center. He might be able to also boost himself at the very same time. So what would be the bigger play here? 6 more teams available with a very clustered up Rozok to play out. And VKE, I do believe, has already joined in the scene. While Naki has got a lot of work to do to hold out against BTR.
He's just playing the patient game now against BTR. Waiting for the blue to do its work, and maybe BTR will force to come out. That's when Noki will take the shot. And still behind BTR, but Voxy will be knocked down. Okay, here comes Thrives to finish off BTR as they try to rotate away. But the moment they try to rotate away from Thrives, they will bump into Alter Ego. Alvar is there showing himself. Now Thrives knows that it's not only BTR here, but also Alter Ego.
Fair enough, and here we go. Big mates landed from the side of Alva. This could actually open up a little bit more of that spacing while KK is trying to seek out if he could actually form up with his teammate. But he is going to take a leap of faith because Alva has got him exposed. He cannot afford to even go in for a rescue, but Federalis, he's bleeding very, very quickly, and those points will now slowly be secured by Alter Ego.
Ooh, Sakai is here though. On top of this here, he sees Alva and he will punish Alva for stopping them in their rotation. Taking it out, eliminating Alter Ego at number 6, now down to top 5 teams, Thrives. They want to finish up the job against BTR, but here comes the Vikings against CelcomDigi Alliance with Iftar knockdown.
There comes now pushing right through, and not quite enough to take out Tronsy just yet, but this actually had a chain reaction erupting. AK now having those nades, killing right through while again the side of Balak is dropping onto the wrong direction, but it will be the rest of Thrives to be able to form across. Lucky now goes down. Oh, this is gonna be a close one with Satar yet again popping off, going on a dominating spree.
Ooh, okay. Could Satar be the man of the hour, but he's to heal up first. But he's not able to heal up in time. For luck, we'll make sure that he goes down. That's going to be Thrives here. Right in front of them is going to be the Vikings. With Dota. Final player Scam still at the warehouse. Nobody checked the warehouse. So who knows? He could be the kingmaker here.
Very well be. I guess you can take his sweet time. I mean, he's all alone. So Scam has got to play this with perfection. We got the rest of Thrives, his members. From what we've heard is that they've been able to release, garner a lot more of that control moving into the course of the field, while the rest of MVKE glancing upon the rest of the top portion where they're going on a 2-2 split. So for Thrives, fancying their chances here if they could just remove Scam out of the equation.
I'm pretty sure they know that Scam is there, but their focus is now split since you have another team to manage. But for Vikings right now, the only team with a full squad, they stand the best chance of scoring this chicken dinner. Oh, but now the focus is on the Scam by Falak. The Snake sent across. Scam runs away. Evades that nade, so he's still safe. Oh, that's a smoke. Okay. Or maybe that's the smoke from the smoke launcher by Scam. And that's fine. It's just to block off the side of his opponent so that he buys a little bit more time for himself.
Yeah, and this is where he crawls very, very closely. Being so diligent about it. I guess the rest of Vikings, they are losing their patience already. Arriving just next to him. Well, actually, I thought it was directly next to him, but it's still a little bit of a dip over on the crease that we last saw. Tins goes in for a quick restock inside of the care package. Should be having those level 3 gears or so, but it is definitely looking like a standstill. 2 minutes and 10 seconds onwards. This will all slowly draw into a close for Thrives. Slowly getting choked out of space, but they bit Massive land a perfect knock, or should I say that was actually great. That also does form up a little bit of change. Now here it comes. Sustained effort with pure confidence. Break finds it all.
Now it's only Scam left against Vikings. Can he actually scam them? Oh, but they're coming in from both different sides. Oh, Scam caught in between. But he managed to get Superman. Okay. 3 more to go for Scam. And Scam now going up against the Vikings. Vikings come in. And the Vikings will still win against Scam. Bringing the Vikings this chicken dinner against Toda.
Wow, such an important win. You did talk about teams who are on that third page who needs it the most. This is it, ladies and gents. And Gen Vikings Esports comes up ahead here to close up round 23.
But still, with Toda securing the second place, at least that's points for them to gain. Hopefully that puts them a little bit closer to the top 16. But for the Vikings, man, this team been showing a lot of promise here in this tournament so far. Looking forward to see their performance in the finals, in which they should be able to pass through to the grand finals. Not going to be a problem for them. For the points this round, so they scored themselves 9 eliminations, 19 points in total.
Yeah, just beautiful stuff. I mean, this is definitely a great run for Inside of Break. Loving the fact that he's still rocking the team's secret jersey when it comes down to being displayed in the screen. But I can guess that maybe in just a couple of weeks later, he'll receive his brand new jersey from MVKE. So that being said, I mean, look at how technical this fight has been, not only for Team Secret, but for everybody who was actually playing on the entire area. So it was a very difficult run, but when push comes to shove, MGN Vikings, they have shown that they have that same level of tenacity to now be on par with the rest of the boys, looking for the top 16.
Yeah, and I believe the last we checked, the Vikings, they are pretty comfortable as well in top 16. Next on to Vikings, we have 4 Thrives, BTR, and Toda. So Toda, among these 4 teams to watch, they are the team that needs the most points to get that top 16 spot at least. So I wonder how far will this propel them into the top 16. They definitely need to find a formula to be consistent coming into the last few days or even the last few matches for them. And we're going to compare the head-to-head between Axel from Talon and Brick from the Vikings with almost similar amount of stats.
Yeah, the difference here is the assist that he's managed to accomplish. And if we look at Talon Esports as well, Axel, he's got 80% of the contribution. So I guess a lot of it has been funneled towards his side. Well, maybe his teammate only secures like 1 or 2 elimination points at the very least. So they definitely have met pretty much a match between the two of them. So that being said, I think that Falak so far, He's always been showing up, even on certain games that they could not close up. He always puts his best of capabilities in order to really buy time for the team or even turn tides around.
Yeah, we talk about his best capabilities. Look at his damage, 957 damage dealt. That means that he has been doing a lot of work for the team to allow his other teammates to secure those elimination points. Besides Falak, Excel with 4 eliminations, same as Falak. And we have Break here with 3 eliminations. And we have Sata, 3 eliminations with 527 damage. So all of these players representing different teams. And it's nice to see this kind of variety. It just shows the level of competition that all these individual players and also the teams can bring to the table.
That's right. And lo and behold, it's a tie between Dota as well as CelcomDigi Alliance. I guess that's a decent news for whoever's cheering on to the Blazing teams. While for Thrives Esports coming in pretty closely with those 13 pointers, matched by Invitational Esports on the same volume of elimination points. Whereas when we take a look at the rest of the pack, and I guess like 7-9, we can cut that a little bit slack. They definitely had ups and downs out there. Tried Aramasi though, very early exit, something that I did not really expect, but all in all, a very satisfying game for us to, of course, behold. While majority of all the stats here remain to be the same, but the numbers of tosses coming from the Troubles is absolutely higher than before.
Maybe because of the at some point urban warfare, so that's why we see a lot more throwables being used because teams want to flush out each other from the buildings. Now when it comes to the points, 4 Thrives now moving to number 4, and that's what we kind of expected as well. Everyone on page number 1 by this round should have scored more than 100 points, and true enough. For Vikings, number 8, welcome to page 1 for them, 101 points. They joined the 100 point club too. And with 100 plus points, Vikings, whatever it is, we're likely to see them in the grand finals.
Yeah, it's just good news overall. I mean, 100 over points that you can still actually chase up to them, but C1 Esports, I feel bad for them. I mean, C1's been doing really, really well throughout the entire course of the day. The only kind of slump that they had was back in match 20 as well as match 23. So wonder what exactly is the case. Is it just due to the fact that when it comes down to B versus C, sometimes it just becomes their kryptonite?
And the page number 3. So we have a lot of movers here this time because points are close. So teams who did fairly well. Okay, Dota did fairly well this round. 9 points collected. They moved slightly up a notch, 39 points now, but it's still quite far away from number 16 at least. So they have to score like a chicken dinner, decent amount of elimination points to put them in contention. And then maybe if they can score like 2, then they will be in page 2. But we also must remember that the teams are still collecting points. So they probably need to score more than that. Can they still do that though? We have one more game to go after this. But before we head on to that, we'll be going into a short break. So do not go anywhere. We'll see you guys after the break.
One
come.
more.
The final day or the final game. Yeah, not the final day yet. We're still early. But final game here for the Ruthless Invitational Showdown Season 10. So, how will it be for this round? Will we see a pastry team scoring that chicken dinner?
Well, we definitely want to see that happening. Well, when we move into our final matchup of the night, there's definitely good possibilities of that taking shape, where MVKE, we last saw them, of course, starting off the day on that third pager as well. So they did match back that win in that recent matchup. So me and Miramar, I think this is definitely going to be a firm challenge for everybody else on the board. Boydonkey is the only one winning the back-to-back for this evening. This time we bring back Group B as well as Group C to play our final map of the night.
Oof. B and C. Ooh. I wonder who will pick, since it's going to be the last game for tonight. It's going to be a hard call here. Thinking hard. Oh man. Do you already have a name in mind?
Thinking about it, I've tried already some Thai teams. I've also put a vote towards 4 Thrives. I'm gonna give it a shot once more at FaZe Clan.
Okay. The Contra is locking in FaZe Clan. Oof. It's never an easy one.
Spit it out, spit it out. I know you got something in there.
Okay, let's go. ESI.
Oh, actually, I really do like this pick. I mean, ASI8, we've seen them actually having some really good pass track record, even from the previous NOCs as well as RISs, because when they were playing inside Miramar, there were huge bursts of momentum, especially towards the later stages of the tournament. Well, we're already getting there. Then, as much as we talk a lot about D-Saber having similar sorts of performances, I'm not seeing it quite yet, Chief. So, yeah, ASI8 definitely sounds like the right choice.
Well, production is putting faith onto DRS to score 3 chicken dinners today to wrap things up. So, okay, cool. I mean, they had a little bit of a off game in the last Miramar we saw them. So, there's a good chance for them to make that comeback. So, okay, 3 chicken dinners. If they can do that, they'll be the first team to score 3 in a day this season.
Oh, wow. I mean, it is definitely not easy to achieve all that in a day. But, of course, everything is possible. With new map comes new opportunities. And therefore, this is the final map of the night as we dive into Miramar to close things off day 4.
Here it is. Miramar with a flight path coming in from the left side, going towards perhaps the northern side. Yep, Toya Kumada will be the final end of the flight path. While that, we check out some of the top player stats and everything. Every stat has Sky at the front. So I guess this also gives us a good clue that perhaps at the end of the day, still Sky as the MVP.
Could very well be the case. I mean, he's done more than enough for esports to be able to reap so much of these rewards. Now, hopefully, when it comes down to next week, when they do play in the grand finals, that they won't gas out towards the later stages of the tournament. That's something that they really have to work on in order to be crowned as champions moving into this season's Invitationals. Now, quickly, as we look at REINCE Esports, are they going to be challenged right now as they move into Chupacera? It seems like that's not going to be the case. Vampire Esports is actually dropping very close by. It really feels like VPE is changing a lot of their drops for today.
Yeah, they're switching now this time. Going to maybe Picado. Okay. But anyway, if they choose to do so, then the circle won't be too far away for them. Now it's centered around the area of St. Martin. And we've seen multiple fights happen in St. Martin before. With the amount of teams around that area, they could potentially happen again. Look at this. We have Talon, we have DRS, we have RRQ. Interesting enough that BTR did not drop in Power Grid, so they changed their drop spot as well. But okay, now we have DRS on screen. Unstoppable from Claw almost got a knock on the Delta.
Yeah, we could barely see his health bars already as he was actually battling for this garage, but Unstoppable, securing that UMP, will be able to flush that position off and gets himself that coupe. Now drives forward. I believe he is going to look for a little bit of a position once he does actually get his teammates nearby. Delta just showing him off, making sure that he does not make a giant U-turn. So DRS, decent start, no casualties. That's the most important thing about moving into this run. DRS is within that kind of close proximity, but not too far off. The rest of Vampire Esports, they did actually secure Picado. Initially, I was kind of scared if they were to move into Chupacera, but it makes a lot more sense, right? For so many seasons, Vampire Esports, you can send 2-3 teams, you can send TJB, you can send like even Kenfa into that area. As we saw, they will flip, and ESAN goes in for the chase. And just like that, 3 members out of Boom Esports. Oh god, flipped out by Casanova.
Oh no, not the start that Boom Esports wants. Just like that, they drive by. They didn't mean no harm. But now they lost 3 players only left with pawn mid. Oh man. Not a good start for Boom Esports. And all that pawn mid can do right now is to play for placement points.
Yeah, I just didn't really expect that to be in one full sweep. Hobbit, I guess he was lucky enough, but he's on the separate vehicle of running around with the buggy, having just about enough speed. So he's just gonna book a spot for his own, while Dodak, steady as it goes, but they need about like what, 20 points. So usually 20 points comes with a chicken dinner to be able to match up to ASI8. Despite of all these kind of hurdles coming from the side of ASI8, I just feel like it's kind of weird to also see them all the way down there at 22 position, because we've definitely seen them with bigger strides in the past couple of seasons, and gotta really shake off a little bit of rust that you did put for them. And they are very efficient when it comes down to playing inside Miramar, so we'll have to see. Can't really say the same about Doda. I just feel like Doda, they're just doing a lot of test rounds where I'm not too sure whether if they're trying to improve the firepower or not, because they haven't really won a lot of trades so far.
Yeah. Even when they scored their second place, it was scam, like just playing very quietly in that warehouse above Rozok. So they really need to find a way to gain more points than just to play for placements. Because right now they're at number 23 and they're only at 39 points. Unless like if you're like page 1 teams, then sure you can just go for placements and you'll be fine. But if you're at 23, it's about catching up the points, and you have to find a way to bring in the elimination points. Just like how Faceland is doing right now by knocking out Racing.
Yeah, true enough. And if you can recall, you know, back in day 1, some of these teams rack up points as if it was nothing. Like 39 points is kind of like just 2 good rounds for esports. Hate to make that comparison, but like they gotta also let certain realities sink in that they are very far from where they need to be, and if they really want to make it, they gotta start also learning some of the patterns coming in from the rest of the teams as well. That's as much as I would actually say from some of these performances. But Talent Esports are in a decent hurdle, just a little bit inconsistent. Talent Esports, though, today having KF to be really performing out of his mind coming into those rounds that we saw moving into Erangel. Whereas Nate T now brings in the monster truck. There is one member out of Thrives Esports. He's kind of lurking in between. He's got that grenade, but realistically, what can he do about it once all the members of DX arrive to the scene?
And who is Ram Toy taking the place of Lamborghini? Serious guy. And everybody's area now. They are surrounding that player, and they will be able to get the knock. Easy peasy lemon squeezy for them. They have the numbers against Thrives Esports. So that will be them securing this area for themselves. Now, Ram Toy, who are you?
I've never seen this name either in my life, so definitely a little bit of a big surprise, because when I'm looking at the name itself, it's like, is this actually somebody that we do know? But speaking of which, Rampoint gets knocked down with Zio choosing moving around. Zio does actually strike them apart. That's 2 in a row. He's not really getting everybody out just yet, but he does! Oh, what a clutch! They go Savior out for the count.
Well, not the best start for Ram Toy, unfortunately. But then again, Talent took advantage of that situation. Axel being sneaky to steal away 1 elimination point. And it's more like a hit and run. It's like, okay, he got that one, he backs off, which is fine. I mean, Talent, they're at a position that they could use more points. They're at number 15, so to play a bit safer, it's okay for them.
Yeah, meanwhile, D-Savior, though, running up the hill with just about each member is pretty much segregated. Definitely is a no-go. So D-Savior definitely have to improve on their recovery run. When it comes down to the circle, it seems like we are finally getting a little bit more of that Oasis. I've been waiting all my life to cast on that Oasis side. Is it going to happen? Not too sure, but we will find out in a short moment.
Ooh. While REINCE Esports coming back into the game with their first elimination this round. And true enough, like what you said, that we don't always get to see an Oasis ending circle. Now, remain hopeful, because we're only at stage 2. It could go there, it could pull away. But I'm with you on this one. If we get an Oasis circle, that'd be nice. We don't always get to see it.
Yeah, and likely more so that we actually do get quite a number of all these rounds to be moving into La Corberia, but look at how these teams are preparing the rest of ASIA. They're in the blue zone, being occupied at the moment. MBKE chooses not to really go in for that pursuit. Well, we're having a little bit of brawl outside of the water treatment. It is going to be Claw versus the rest of RRQ. Very familiar opponents for either side, as they both duke on each other with this Indonesian rivalry. Alduzi goes in. You are jumping over on for this dude. Comes down Tama, and they're coming with the full send. Tony K arrives to the scene, but it is him being sent out very swiftly. So, down now. Recovery run was he does spot out Schweppes on the other corner, trying to secure Newsy in return and brings Chama back to life.
And that is Vampire Esports out. Unfortunately, number 15, no points at all this time. About a mini screen. You're seeing RRQ in a fight with another team. It looks like Claw. Hopefully get a better view soon. Fight continues on somewhere else while DRS recovering from the fight against Vampire Esports. And yes, it's going to be Claw against RRQ. A fight for this compound by the roadside.
Yeah, speaking of which, this is where Red Face actually cuts right across, where the rest of the party just cuts over onto the creases of the window pane just to shut him down. RRQ being deterred while the rest of the claws have been able to put more than just a scratch to send out RQ very early tonight. Well, 3 points in return so far, looking pretty much clean on what they've been able to achieve.
FaZe Clan with a hilltop. A good spot for them to be in. Anytime you have a mountain or a hilltop that you have secured, it's always good for you. And that's where REINCE Esports is going towards as well. But that decision might change soon. We'll see the next circle. Some teams are heading towards the Oasis area, Toda around the area. And Bombay being the final player of Boom Esports is heading towards there as well. And looks like Contra, you're probably going to get your wish. Still, the Oasis in the circle.
Boy, oh boy, this is about to become a very big party by the desert. And I'm not too sure if it's going to be anyone that's going to be residing inside the Oasis, where a lot of all these teams were still hoping to have that high ground hole. So if they were to actually cut close by, we will see a lot of all these teams to be able to actually secure a little bit more of that at this point. Meanwhile, Zeta getting some damage done against the rest of Talon. The Indonesians definitely love to go up against themselves. A little bit of healing being done while he's actually taking that leap of faith. While Red Bull, with this crazy angle coming from FaZe Clan, has spotted some of all these straggling members of Claw, where they can't really afford to move too far, so they have no access to their vehicles.
Yeah, and with this high ground, it stops Claw from moving around easily. And Red Bull has them locked in. And only Red Bull, another player from FaZe Clan, is also looking down on the Claw. But this is the good thing for Claw is that they are in the circle, so they can buy a little bit more time for themselves. And they can stay there and hope for FaZe Clan to move away. But now they're not in a desperate move to shift themselves away from this area anyway. But if they can clear off Red Bull, why not?
Yeah, it is definitely very easy for them to keep putting pressure onto Red Bull. Makes him waste more and more of his resources, especially on those bullets. But as a main fragger of the team, you would typically carry about 300 to 200 over bullets. So he will definitely have to manage all these resources. So looking at the current situation, it doesn't seem like he will be able to hook and prod any further. Venom now hiding right inside as the rest of REINCE Esports are hoping to push right in. Look at the rest of members. Doc now. Chase, and it seems like he did not manage to swerve and plunge. Leo did at least come in for the cover, but there is still pressure going on. Whoa! That was a very swift pickup, but it seems like the rest of Sam 9, they're going to be looking for a little bit of hustle up the hill.
And Viren is looking at the hill. They also don't need to really move away since they're in the circle. But of course, it's always better if you can clear off those that are looking down onto you. Including Talon is one of those teams that has this hill locked in as well. Boy Donkey the same. A lot of hillside area around this circle. But you might move away. At the same time, we're holding our breath for the circle to land inside of Oasis.
Oh.
Still has part of Oasis in it.
Okay, I'm happy enough with what the outcome is from here on, because 50% of it still covers the north point where BTR is currently playing over field Palmbit. He's hiding inside of the shack. So you can see that this becomes such a technical battle, despite this not being an urban setting. It is in an awkward spot where all these teams are just hoping to really hold the high ground. And currently, Boing Donkey are the kings of the field because they got multiple layers being secured. Whoever's on the back of the Oasis is going to be a different story, where Boing Donkey doesn't really have the vision on them. So that is going to be free real estate. Meanwhile, more and more teams driving into the Oasis. Finally, we get to see them having a little bit of field time in the waters.
Aha, that includes the Vikings. Now BTR. As Drake is driving by, Sota tries to stop them from the side. But they managed to crash in though. Now the Vikings, he got break here, but he's taking a lot of damage from the molly. Down to 50% of health. Superman from the other side cooking up his nade. For break, which is that's okay. 5 bullets in the barrel. Break jumps into the building. He needs to reload. Sends a molly across to buy him a little bit more time for him to reset. But break will be knocked out from the side by Foxy.
Wow, great engages coming in as Foxy having to hold a perfect line of defense. Now that breaks apart the rest of MVKE's positioning. Slowly getting isolated. Now that grenade's also falling right in. Perfect lob coming from Federalis. And just like that, all that hustle has been botched out by the rest of the Vikings. Only one member remained. So Federalis secures it, adding more of all these points back to BTR side as they will now be moving deeper into the top 10.
And Dota as well, they're not too far away from the Oasis area. Playing by the edge of the circle, they can gatekeep teams from coming in, including REINCE Esports. Refuse seem to be bleeding out. For FaZe Clan, they're still happy with the high ground that they have. And they have information around them, including Claw. Now trying to move away. They're hugging this hill so that Red Bull will not have a good line of sight onto them.
That's right, and FaZe Clan, they're still not giving off their prior position. It's all about securing this spot because there's to be more team to be expected to be cutting right across. Now look at the big wraparound. REINCE Esports starting to get punished by the rest of Sem9. Mika, so far very sharp. We finally get to see Mika play. It feels like whenever Sem9 goes into Miramar, that's where he's fielding that player in particular. Yulo, as well as Firen, knocking out Brian. So this is going to be told out losing one player on their side.
Yeah, so the one that's currently on the bench is Deb. Hasn't been playing. It's been a while since I last seen Deb though. Maybe he'll show up later. Because we still have more days to come, and maybe if 7-9 moves on to the finals, that's where we get to see Deb play. But for now, we're gonna check out the circle. Oasis up north. That small chance. Okay, still part of Oasis. I'll take that.
Yeah, it's kind of like a 50-50. So you got the low grounds, you got the high grounds. Isn't this super challenging, Sir Cloud, when we think about how these teams have to navigate? Because I can't really clearly tell who has the bigger advantage. We have FaZe Clan, Void Donkey, ESAN now climbing over the hillside, but it doesn't really give them the full leverage. Speaking of which, Talon managing to flip the entire 7-9 crashing right through their gate, so that's perfect defense maneuver with 4 points being secured, and just like that, 7-9. Man, they're pretty much ousted from here on out. So they have the situation. Talon now will have to be ready for even more teams to be cutting right across. Talon, they're not dealing with Void Donkey just yet.
Yeah, there are a lot more teams there on the left side as compared to anywhere else. A Canary, something happened that he got knocked out from a fall damage for some reason. Maybe when he was trying to jump down from the high ground. By the way, now ASI8 spraying down onto Talon from this high ground. What an angle by UGM. But still not able to secure any elimination points. Yet they are not in a hurry though. As long as they can have this high ground for themselves, they'll be fine. But Void Donkey is going to share the other side of the high ground though. Talon is trying to climb up. They're not cooking this nade. It's going to be a short toss for him onto the corner. But Zeta mollied and naded down instead.
Great read coming from Talon Esports. Right now, the rest of Void Donkey, they got to move all the way back up to the hillside because the rest of Talon is chasing on their kills. Very Zach Kenny Evans able to find any form of angle. Then he gets shut down. Things again coming in from the side of Talon Esports. Actually now tries to fall back as the Molotovs are just flipping onto the majority of them. The health bars are falling really low, but the rest of Void Donkey have been shut out with only 1 point secured.
Fight's not over yet at this hill area. Talon and ASI8 now. As Ayuk will be reviving his teammates. ASI8 to try to close the gap. But Torak's here as well. Okay. They have to deal with two different teams. Three teams basically at this hill area, including Real.
Yeah, Real. He's got to really fall back. This could be a really good chance so long as Dota allow all these teams to fight towards these corners of the map. They can still squeeze into the top 5, so they don't really have to participate. But judging from this situation, they cannot afford to also trail too far behind because BTR is somewhere within the Oasis. Nate now coming in. As UZM pushes up the hillside, ESAN are trying to rampage them throughout, but Tality as they are. There will be a drop shot coming from the side of Casanova to be able to deter that advancing push coming from Tality Esports.
Oh, but here comes Space Clan. At the top of that hill, UZM will be eliminated by Real. Real steals away that point. And now Real, will he be able to steal more? Because Dota needs a lot more points. While we check out the circle, where will it go? Will it be at the hill or at Oasis? It's going to be somewhere in the middle. And that's going to be mostly the hill area.
I'm just surprised that not many of all these players are actually claiming the compals just yet. Slum, while the rest of members of ASIA relies on Casanova to try to pull off a heroic exchange, but knock is all that there is. As here comes Huey. He's just participating by dropping that grenade. I don't think he's found beautiful angles just yet, but take a look at how Real is playing this one out to perfection. He's kind of a one-man army right now for Dota.
Yeah, he is. Oh, but wait, there's another player of Dota, but we're not sure where he is. But we'll check that out later on. Now we're going to shift our focus onto the right side of the map, where Claw managed to escape FaZe Clan when they were looking down onto them from that hilltop. Now Claw will be facing off against DRS in their fight to get into the circle. They have to do it quick because they have about 2 minutes before the zone arrives onto them.
Yeah, not that much time left. 2 minutes can just go by in the blink of an eye. But Delta 6, that's good enough for me to maybe look for this pickoff and these nades!
Ooh.
Oh! It almost clipped over onto Unstoppable as well. Now Claw under tread. You can see how far Unstoppable dashed away, but the Deltas could be looking to close right in. Second time coming, we'll be able to secure the knocked member. And now, Claw definitely faces a little bit of a challenge. They still have these 3 members, but FaZe Clan, they're pushing them to the break. Red Wolf gets the nap.
And FaZe Clan still with a full squad. Interesting. Okay, they're trying to be the king of the hill. But they have to deal with now Claw in front of them. Bobo Hu will be knocked down, unstoppable. Can he be unstoppable since he's going to be the final player for Claw as Canary will finish off his IGL Bobo Hu?
Yeah, right now, FaZe Clan's on a dominating streak. And I'm just pretty happy with all the outcomes that's falling into place. My prediction, as well as the circle moving into the Oasis, just making things a little bit more interesting for everybody out there. And for a matter of fact, these are mainly unfamiliar grounds for so many teams out there, but of course, based on their instincts, they're relying on all these terrains to keep themselves alive, and that's what pro players do, adapt on the fly.
Ah, okay, so Dota is adapting so far, and Scam is the other player alive together with Real. Okay, let's see if they can continue to adapt. And so far they're doing so good. If you look at it, they're adapting to the circle, they're playing on the inner side, and they're on the clear, where most teams are on the southern side now. Oh, but FaZe Clan spotted them out. Shots fired by Dewey, but that will allow them to still reposition themselves, especially with the terrain still favoring them.
Yeah, it's so technical on how these battles are actually taking place. FaZe Clan now faces another challenge. Now they're by the edge, just like how DRS is currently at. They have to now march towards the side of BTR. So does this actually put BTR at risk? Because all the teams will be looking to hunt towards the center.
Oh, speaking about the center, BTR is in pretty much the center of the circle now. The only fully
Esports, because they've already said BTR. Been a while now since they actually make it into potential top 5 cut.
Oh, and here comes.
Well, it's gonna be a shot for QQ. Getting another one in the back for the side of FaZe Clan. Hustle as we're looking at all these teams trying to get into the center of the zone. FaZe Clan did manage to secure some of the compounds for their own. DRS now finds it a little bit tricky. There's hogging by the corners. Now, when exactly will they actually emerge over onto the top course? It doesn't seem like they do have a firm entry point, because BTR could also get those angles up against DRS. So look at who will actually come up ahead. While there are straggling units coming from the north point of the Oasis.
Hey. Who else is at the north point? Okay, Toda. There's that one other player. Okay, I think that's from Vikings. Yeah, that's Vikings there. Okay, just to get a confirmation. Anyway, so we'll see a lot more fights here happening at the south. As teams will try to fight to get into the circle. This Real, his position, I'm looking at him to be the guy who would be the one to dictate how this fight will go. With this kind of position, he could pretty much aim down onto any one of them.
Yeah, and you know what? I really like his confidence moving into this matchup, because he's been walking around and he goes unpunished for most part. He's the Punisher instead, because he's been able to steal some points away from HORAA Esports. Now, I would say that there's less of that opportunity and more about how they will be able to just play out stage 9. If it goes all the way to the center, do we actually see a chance for some of these guys coming in from Toda? Because they are relatively close to the center.
It is Toda's best chance if that happens, if you think about it. And when stage 9 appears, then there's no more circle. The zone will close entirely. That's where it will slowly go into the center. And yeah, that's where Toda will have their best chance of getting this chicken dinner. Okay, let's see if they can get this one. Another potential storyline of a page 3 team to do well. And maybe Toda will be a strong contender in the top 16.
Fair enough. But that also requires a few things to happen in this matchup. DRS, FaZe Clan, as well as BTR to be dueling each other, so that a lot of all these pressure to be relieved from the side of that in order to claim more of that space. So far, Delta is being sent upward to try to go in for a peek, and they did manage to spot out the low ranger coming in from the side of Vikings. Now as battle is up, big pop right there, and Scab! He takes that opportunity to strike, but instead, Chopper QQ spots him out, and that will be the elimination of Toda, as they were pretty much sniffed out the moment that they returned the fire up against FaZe Clan.
I worried that we just jinxed them. Oh well, it is what it is. But the fight will continue on right now with the player at the northern side, the final player of Vikings. Now FaZe Clan moves forward. The moment they did that, DRS took them out, eliminating them at number 4, down to the top 3 teams. DRS with 3 players going up against 2. Wow, production could be right here, but it's not over till Contra sings. Anything could happen here with Boonty in the middle of this fight. Sata will be putting focus on the Boonty. Boonty on the lower ground. Sata comes in with SLK, not able to land his shot cleanly yet.
I have the energy to save, but I do have the energy to actually scream for a DRS who's going on a rampage to close off the series of the day. And wow, this has been the best performance that we've seen so far coming out of DRS for today.
Wow, the first team to claim 3 chicken dinners in a single day, and it came from DRS. And because DRS got this chicken dinner, production scores another point. Ooh, even production's coming back.
Yeah, it's a really huge comeback story for everybody out there, but most importantly, DRS. 3 chicken dinners? Does that mean they even get to actually challenge Point Donkey at number 1? I think it's entirely possible. So, you know what, Turtle, you may have actually said, oh, teams can afford to sleep for a day, but no. If you give DRS a day, they're just gonna take the troll.
This time it's Delta coming in with the most eliminations, 8. A total of 11 eliminations for DRS, 21 points collected this time by them. Wow, they're looking like they could be throne contenders for the playoffs now with this amount of points collected.
Yeah, this is the biggest surge thus far. I think like back in day one, of course, there were a lot of hopefuls that's hoping to see DRS to be up there on the challenge. They definitely shown some strides back in day one, and then things kind of slowed down back in day two. But hey, today they are absolutely in control, and destiny awaits for them to move into the playoff stage. So I think that's just about more than enough points for them to actually bank it home. So that being said, Delta, what went on? How on earth did he just pop off against so many squads up the hill, and DRS, they remained intact, so steady throughout the process?
Oh yeah, somehow they found a formula here today. Now it's a matter of bringing that formula to the next day. And besides DRS, gotta give a shout out to FaZe Clan, Talon, and BTR. So FaZe Clan is also one of those teams who was at some point at page number 3. So it's again the rise of page 3 kind of story. And speaking of FaZe Clan, one of the representatives, Red Bull, here has been compared with Casanova from ASI8. More eliminations for Casanova, but more damage from Red Bull, together with one more assist by Red Bull. But Casanova, he did 80% of the work. Majority of team contribution came for him for ASI8.
That's right. And also, fun fact, just now when we take a look at the top 4, if you want to be part of the top 4, you gotta have your logo in red. DRS is the one that secures the MVP, of course. There's no one that has bested Delta, where he almost did close to 1,000 damage. 987 as the fact remains, as we take a look at plenty of utilities, as we saw how challenging it was for them to play along that Oasis line.
I'm glad to see Delta up here. I call him the mascot of DRS because his interviews are so good. Just saying. But besides Delta, so we of course have Casanova here with 4 eliminations, followed by Canary from Baseline 4 as well. And how do you pronounce this? NYBF? Nibef?
YBF.
Nai boyfriend?
Your boyfriend?
Nay boyfriend?
Or best friend?
My best friend? Yeah.
Yep.
We try.
That sounds about right. So let's not butcher their names any further. Like I said, the names with, red logos, DRS, FaZe Clan, Talent Esports, Bigatron, they win big by scoring a hefty amount of points. But in this area of the Oasis, I definitely felt like it was surprising to me that at least half of the party, they get some really high average scores, and even up to the Savior, they did manage to score at least 1 point. We didn't actually see RQ as well as Vampire Esports. They got into pretty much a tight fight, which ended up with them not really scoring those points. So DRS, 21 added to the table. How far do they place this time around? Let's check out the rest of the match stats before we head to the leaderboards.
Yeah, still 165 throwables, just even though it's like a lot of high ground fights. So that's pretty decent considering like what kind of circle are we getting this time. With 2 airdrops still able to be looted by these teams. And one other number, I would say that is the total eliminations of 60. That means everyone played to the end. Like nobody gave themselves up to the blue or was taken out by the blue. Now, you mentioned about the points. Oh, before we get on to the points, we have to celebrate our overall MVP for today. It is still Sky from HORAA Esports, hanging in on the #1 spot, 35 eliminations, 6,776 damage. What a number that is.
Yeah, as much as today hasn't been the hottest day for Sky or even the entirety of HORAA Esports, the last we checked when we started the day was 6,000 damage. So 700 added to the table is still a very healthy number, considering that they've only played like 4 matches overall for today. So he's still maintaining his spot, but Razak now closes in even further as he's been able to really rack up high average elimination points. But Killer YT, oh wow, I think like he definitely was the one that has put on the rallying flags for our DRS to be able to really churn big results. Now that he's also getting some of all the high average limbs on the table, even offering more damage as compared to Razak as well as Kasim 99.
Yeah, and also have to welcome Killer YT, right? Coming back into the road to MVP. And now, if we were to zoom in onto the overall fraggings, Sky still leading the chart with 35 eliminations. Killer YT with his double MVP performance today brings him up here to second place with 30 eliminations. Followed by Jimmy OP 27, Lapar 27 as well, and Delta with 8 eliminations in the previous round, shooting him to number 5 in the overall fraggers here with 25 eliminations. Who knows? This chart might shift tomorrow.
Yeah, very likely so. I mean, DRS, they're getting on the right track, so we might even see more and more of their members to be popping off at the very same time. So take a look at this. It's not number 1 yet, but they're coming in pretty close. And they have overtaken HORAA Esports by 1 point margin. How cool is that?
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy, right? 3 chicken dinners today. Imagine if they scored like 4 chicken dinners. They might have overtake Void Donkey, but yeah, I mean, second place, 129 points, all about getting in top 16. They're pretty secure right now. They can just go AFK tomorrow and it doesn't matter for them. But I'm sure all the fans want to see more action from DRS considering how they performed here today. Great work by DRS. It's been a DRS day overall, securing 3 out of 4 chicken dinners for themselves. Now on page number 2, obviously a lot of movers here because the points are very, very close. eArena now moves down 1 notch to number 16, 81 points. Remember that number because we're going to compare that with number 17 after this.
Yeah, and it's the rise of the Indonesian squads as well. Boom, Talent, BTR, they're pretty much maintaining the current status quo for the moment. But with some of the teams who have not really had the final run, so naturally we see a little bit of a slide. So what's the average threshold are we expecting when we actually close out 2 days of action? I think like the safe margin for every team by the end of the playoffs, they need to score at least 135 points at the very least.
But for now, the difference between 16 and 17 is 5 points. The Xavier 76, followed by Alter Ego 75. So the points are still close for these teams, including REINCE. I believe we went down to ASIA for Dora and Claw. They need to do a little bit more work, but there's still like 8 total games for them to try to catch up to those points. Let's see how they can fare. I mean, if a team like say eArena, who has been on page 3 for the longest time, they're still able to climb up to second page. So anything's possible for teams on page number 3.
I absolutely agree with you, Cloud. I mean, we're also looking at the rise of 7-9, who are getting closer and closer to the top 16 as well. So anything can happen. So make sure you guys don't miss a beat. Be sure to subscribe to all the latest news as well as everything that goes on here in the Ruthless Esports channel. And make sure you also follow them on all their social media platforms as we're already coming into the end of the run for tonight. Any last words before we wrap up, Sir Cloud?
Last words? DRS Day!
Well, kudos to you. I mean, it was definitely fun. And tonight's going to be pretty much my last night for this playoff. So hope to actually catch you guys really soon. Of course, DRS Triple Chicken Dinner, congratulations. Hope to see even more coming in from then. So, Sir Cloud, I believe it's time for us to sign off. So, till then, we'll bid you good night. See you guys tomorrow.